Truck. He had been working at the lonely gas station off the highway ever since high school. For some reason, he had never managed to leave. Back then, his future had looked promising. Good grades, football, all the superficial things people from places like this usually use to escape. 5 nights a week, he worked the graveyard shift at the gas station. Sometimes it was boring. Sometimes strange people came in. He had already survived 2 robberies. Simply because he cooperated, he definitely wasn't willing to die for this place. But lately, something had caught his attention. Every damn night, the same truck showed up. An old thing, no logo, no company name, nothing. It always stopped at the same pump. The driver paid right there at the pump and disappeared again. He had never once entered the store. You might think, so what? Maybe it's just his routine. But there was something wrong with the guy. He didn't seem normal. He couldn't even say exactly what was wrong with the driver. But something felt off. His movements were too fast, not frantic. More like reality itself was moving slower than he was. For days now, he had found himself automatically looking out the window at 2:13 a.m. just to watch the strange man. The driver always wore his cap low over his face. No matter how hard he tried, he could never get a good look at him. Only a few dark strands of messy hair sticking out from beneath the cap. It bothered him, as if his brain was trying to recognize a face that didn't want to be recognized. That morning, his shift ended like any other. He locked up, lit a cigarette, and walked across the empty parking lot. Then he noticed something. There was something lying on pump 4, right where the truck always stopped. He paused, then slowly walked closer. It was a photograph, nothing special. Just some guy, maybe early 30s, ordinary face, ordinary clothes, completely forgettable. He turned the picture over. No note, no name, nothing. Just the photograph. For a moment, he looked out across the deserted highway, but there was nothing there. He slipped the photo into his pocket and drove home. When he got home, he tossed the photograph and his keys onto the coffee table and went to bed. 8 hours later, he woke up, made himself a coffee, and started scrolling through the endless void of his smartphone. Suddenly, his phone rang. It was Kevin, the guy from the day shift. Hey, did you happen to see a man in a red jacket last night? Everyone's talking about him. Apparently he's missing. Weird situation. No, nothing unusual. At that moment, he remembered the photograph, but he kept it to himself. After the call ended, he picked up the picture from the coffee table and took a closer look. Then, he pulled up the local missing persons reports. His heart skipped a beat. The man in the photograph was unmistakably the missing person. Married, father of a 3-year-old daughter, office worker. According to the report, he never came home from work 2 days ago and had been missing ever since. He stared at the photo, then at the screen, then back at the photo. What the hell is going on? He could call the police. He probably should call the police. But something stopped him. Maybe the fear of being called crazy. Maybe something else. He only knew one thing. In a few hours, his next shift would begin. And at 2:13 a.m., the truck would be back at pump 4. On the way to work, he nervously played with his keychain and kept checking his pocket to make sure the photograph was still there. Once he arrived, he stood behind the counter and stared at the clock. In about 3 hours, the mysterious driver would be here. Then what? He had no plan. Talk to him? Not a chance. The guy was way too creepy. After finding the photograph, he definitely wasn't taking that risk. Call the police? Without evidence? He shook his head. Customers came and went, but he was so lost in thought that he barely functioned on autopilot. The clock read 2:13 a.m. His heart started pounding. His hands trembled. There he was, right on time. The damn truck was back at pump 4, but this time, something was different. The creepy man was sitting in the passenger seat. Someone else got out to pump the gas. The same strange movements. Far too fast. Then an icy chill ran down his spine. It was the man from the photograph. The missing man. But he didn't look kidnapped. The passenger simply sat there with his cap pulled low over his face, staring straight ahead. He didn't seem threatened. Why would a kidnapper let his victim get out and pump gas where someone could see him? Or rather, where someone was meant to see him? None of it made any sense. It felt like hours, but after barely 2 minutes, the truck pulled away and vanished into the darkness. Fuck! What the hell? He still had no idea what to do. How could he possibly explain something like this to anyone? Then it hit him. The security footage. The station was monitored around the clock. He rushed into the back room and stared at the monitor. Got you now, asshole! He rewound the recording to 2:12 a.m. and pressed play. He waited. 2:13 a.m. No truck. Only 2 moths fluttered across the screen. After a few seconds, they disappeared into the darkness. He stared at the footage. Motionless. Speechless. He pulled out yesterday's recording and rewound it to 2:12 a.m. Again, no truck. Just a moth. Nothing else. He felt like he was losing his mind. With trembling hands, he left the back room and walked straight to pump 4. He didn't even know whether he hoped to find something or not. But he found it. A photograph. Sweating, he picked it up and slowly turned it toward himself. At first, he didn't understand what he was seeing. Then, his face went pale. The photograph showed him. Panic surged through his body. His shift ended an hour later, but he barely remembered it. Like a man in a trance, he drove home. He never showed up for his next shift. or the one after that, or ever again. 3 days later, his face appeared in the local missing persons reports. 1 week later, Kevin stood outside the gas station with a new night clerk. The two shared a cigarette during the shift change. "So," Kevin asked, "getting along all right?" The new guy nodded. "Yeah, pretty easy job. Although, there's one weird thing." Kevin looked at him. "Weird thing?" The new guy glanced toward the gas station. "Every night at 2:13 a.m., the same strange truck pulls up to pump 4.